Why do we eat? Our bodies are incredibly complex and have developed processes that, at a molecular level, have evolved to incorporate all the food that is grown and all the creatures that we consume into our very basic cells. And this gives us the building blocks and the energy to do everything that makes us alive.
Hi, I'm Jed Marcus, and I'm the CEO of One Community. One Community is an organization that has a pretty local focus. We work in Fort Greene and Clinton Hill in Brooklyn, New York, and our mission is to promote equal access to opportunities and resources. Our community is blessed by having a vast amount of institutional resources. We have job generators like the Brooklyn Navy Yard. We have cultural institutions. We have 3 colleges. We have cathedral-like churches. We have major corporations. And yet there's a whole swath of our community that has limited access to those resources. And that swath is primarily made up of people who live in public housing on the northern part of the community. And there's a street that faces most of the public housing. It's Myrtle Avenue. And in some ways, Myrtle Avenue functions almost like a wall, that people are not safe feel they're not safe being on the, quote, the other side of Myrtle Avenue, whatever side that is from your own perspective. And resources and access to institutions doesn't cross Myrtle Avenue very effectively at all. And so all that said, the name One Community is kind of obvious. Our goal is to basically dismantle the wall, which in large part is built up of structural discrimination. A program which is the focus of this film is Fresh Pantries. Fresh Pantries serves appealing, ample food to 1,150 families in public housing. The pantries are in 5 locations. They're staffed by 60 to 70 volunteers who show up every week to distribute a beautiful assortment of food. And one of the goals that we have is not just that we provide enough food, we provide the kind of food that we would like to eat. And that goes back to our basic goals of equity and breaking down the limitations that our society creates around certain groups of people. So the pantry rose out of an immediate crisis. I would say now it serves a chronic long-term crisis, but it arose out of a medium crisis. And that happened in March 2020 when the governor announced that New Yorkers should shelter. And the result of that was many of the people in our neighborhood who were seniors or people who had chronic health conditions and didn't have family members immediately at their disposal really didn't have a safe way to get food. And so we took that as a call to action and marshaled several community organizations and a small army of volunteers. And on the first weekend of sheltering, March 28th, 2020, we fielded a team that brought food to 209 households. And so that was the beginning of Fresh Pantries. The delivery program grew over the next 10 months or so to serving 1,700 households. And it was an enormous effort. It had over 100 volunteers every week. We were serving people throughout the community, but mostly focused in public housing. In August of 2020, we realized that many of our people were starting to go out. Many of the people receiving food were starting to go out. And so we analyzed where we should go with the program, and we decided to transform to pantries. And why did we transform to pantries? Because everybody likes getting their food delivered. But the delivery program had a number of limitations, and we felt the pantries better served people. It better served people because when we set up the pantries, we gradually acquired refrigerators and freezers. So now we could distribute temperature-controlled food where we couldn't do that safely before. So obviously that opens a whole range of dairy products and protein products, as well as delicate fruits and vegetables. The next thing was that delicate fruits and vegetables simply wouldn't make it through the delivery system. The delivery system involved opening crates, empty things into other crates so they could be distributed to the various sites, then opening those and putting them into small crates that could be wheeled into elevators. And so a peach or a tomato or a berry or a lettuce would never survive it. Whereas now, with the pantries, it's just one touch. We keep it in a crate, we bring it to the pantry, and people take it just as you would in a supermarket. So we now can provide delicate foods. We now regularly provide meat, chicken, fish, milk every week, yogurt every week. We provide eggs every 2 weeks. So the whole profile of what we can provide in a pantry changed radically. The next thing is that we're convenient to people in each of the public housing developments we serve. And we serve 4 public housing developments. And recently we've added also a senior center. So we looked for locations that were accessible to each of those public housing developments. 2 main pantries are located in a church and a community center, one in each of the developments. And those are ideal locations because they have space, people can be indoors, and they even have their own refrigeration and freezers if they want to store stuff that we give. So that's the ideal situation, and that's where the bulk of the distribution occurs. We also have 2 other locations that are smaller. One works out of the tenant association office at one public housing development, and another works kind of ad hoc out of a outdoor community space that's sheltered in another public housing development. And then the senior center works indoors. It just takes the food indoors. In order to participate, all you have to do is show up and have an ID. We require an ID because, for better or worse, a lot of our programs ultimately are government funded. And so we have to report various statistics about who we're serving. But that's it. We've never turned anybody away who says they want food. Evolution of our food sources is very interesting. We started during the pandemic developing relationships with several of the large providers of food in the city. And then as we switched to pantries, the profile of the food we were getting from them grew because, as I said, we could handle different kinds of food, but they remained major suppliers. And I'm talking about Food Bank for New York City and City Harvest, who have both always provided a large part of our food. A year and a half ago, we were very fortunate to win a contract with the state, which allows us to buy farm fresh food from New York farmers and New York producers. And so, as you can imagine, this widely opened the kind of food we can get. And it accounts for the fact that our food is now in significant part organic. Is a lot of it we get on Thursday and Friday directly from farms, and even Saturday morning, and we distribute it all on Saturday. So it's no more than a day or 2 away from being harvested. And this helps us provide the widest range of choices to our neighbors. Patrons get fresh beef that was slaughtered within the week. They get, as I said, fresh produce that was picked during the week. One of the goals of Fresh Pantry is to provide food that we would enjoy sitting down to our tables. And so now, with fresh food, often organic from New York farmers, we're providing people with that kind of food and meeting our equity goals. One of the things that's been a great joy of Fresh Pantries is from day one, we've had a large group of joyful, enthusiastic, dedicated non-stop volunteers. Many of them are residents of the public housing developments we serve. Others are people from other parts of the neighborhood and even other parts of the city. And as a team, they provide all the skills that we need to handle the food, to distribute the food, to sort the food, to explain how to cook, to translate into the languages of the people who come to the pantries. And many of these people have been working with us from day one, which is now 4 years ago. So you can't beat their level of dedication.
So here at the Navy Yard, we receive all of our donations of food. We get fresh produce, get dry goods. Everything comes here starting Wednesdays. We get it until Fridays, and Fridays are our big prep day. So Friday starting at 7 a.m., our team is here receiving deliveries from City Harvest, the Food Bank for New York City, and H. Schreier, which is a wholesaler that we purchase from. And we'll go through the day. Morning we're receiving until about 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, our packing team comes in, and they'll be packing bags of fresh produce and dry goods to send to each of our distribution sites. We also break down pallets of produce, add things into our inventory, and just do general prep for the next day's distribution.
I'm Veronica Taylor. I am 19 years old. I've been working with One Community since late 2020, basically since the pandemic started. I am volunteer recruiter, co-site captain. I also work the packing shifts here on Fridays, so I'm involved Fridays, Saturdays. I got introduced to One Community through another volunteer situation that I had going on previously. I've been very involved with my community. I live in Whitman. That's one of the pantries that One Community gives food to out of the 5 or 4. One Community has been a blessing to this community and to all the other pantries that they have been given food to. We try and work very hard to cater to everyone in the community, all their needs, including the current migrant situation that's going on right now.
My name is Rebecca Rivera, and I live in the Farragut Projects, and I volunteer at the One Community Pantry. I do registration. Sometimes if it gets really packed, I help bag stuff. I also try to help around if anyone needs a hand, but my thing mainly has been registration. So I'm the first person you see when you get inside. I take IDs, I sign your name in, and if you've never been here before, I sign you up, and that's all you gotta do for any next time you come around. I've been volunteering over 9 months. Before that, it was my brother, so I took over when he was unable to volunteer anymore. Well, grocery prices are really high, and nowadays a milk can be $5, and the fact you can get a milk here for free, even eggs, all these groceries for free, it does save some money in your pocket, especially with rent going up. So I feel like the benefits of the pantry helps people who don't have it to have food. And it doesn't matter even if you do have it. If you want an extra celery, you can get an extra celery.
I'm Anthony Rustano. I'm a volunteer shift captain at the Ingersoll Food Pantry run by One Community. My duties include organizing the volunteers, making sure that we have the supplies that we need, coordinating with the pantry coordinator at One Community to make sure that we have everything that we need on the site, discussing what goes on each week in our weekly meeting, and making sure that any problems that are solved on the line, any interpersonal issues are handled. I also work with our translators who translate for our Cantonese speaking attendees to make sure that everyone's checked in, that we are accounting for all the food that we're giving out. Also making sure that everyone's treated fairly and making sure that the food that we have is given to everyone that needs it. The food that we hand out is varied. It varies from week to week. We try to have some different foods each week to keep it exciting, to make sure that it's not repetitive every week. But we do try to hit several different food groups. For example, every single week we hand out a bag of dried goods, which is at the front of our line. That sometimes it can contain like rice or beans or peanut butter or pasta, And then we are always handing out a lot of fresh produce. Sometimes there's more vegetables one week, and then another week there might be more fruit. And then we always try to hand out a protein. Sometimes we just have milk, sometimes we have milk and yogurt, sometimes we have a meat. Like today we have ground beef that we're handing out, and we're also handing out eggs. So we mix it up every week. We try to make sure that people are well fed and have the nutrients they need.
My name is Clem Goodman, and I've been volunteering with One Community since 2020. I was born and raised in Fort Greene, and I've been, about 4 years now volunteering with One Community. And I started out as the first shift captain at Ingersoll. Delivered food for a little bit before that, but when I really got involved was when I started. They called it the lead volunteer back then, and we were next to the basketball court right over here in Ingersoll. And it was really something when we were starting out. It was really like, no one had really done anything like this before that we knew of. We didn't really have anything in the area to sort of model ourselves after. So, we were out in the snow when it started. It was late in 2020. We were showing up, driving our cars in and scraping all this ice out of the way. We were all still wearing masks at the time. Everyone was really nervous, but when I introduced myself to Vivian and the other interpreters, I felt really good about things. I was nervous before that, but they were so capable and, did such a great job of organizing everything and communicating with everybody that it really made me feel like everything was going to be easy. And it wasn't easy at first. I remember when we first started out, we didn't have anything like the swap table that we have now, where, people wouldn't be able to swap things out that they didn't want. Not everybody likes the canned green beans, for instance, and they would go to the swap table and leave it there. But before we had that, people would kind of leave things around, and then Nitro would come yell at us and be like, hey, people are leaving food around. So we brought out the swap table, and that was sort of the first step towards the hopefully more organized kind of effort that we have here today. When we finally were able to get access into the community center here, everything changed and became a lot easier and a lot more serious. And then after, I stepped away for a while to work, when I started working full time, we had Sarah come in and she was the shift captain. And I think that was when they started doing the assembly line like we have now. But before that, everybody would walk in and the room was sort of a mess but closed off to the people coming in. And we had people behind the tables come forward and bring them the food. And it worked, but where we have it right now is a lot faster. I'm so grateful to be a part of this effort because, during the pandemic, I think that sense of community was something that everyone really needed. And, being born and raised in Fort Greene is, I read that it is the most economically segregated neighborhood in the country. Read that in the New York Times a couple years ago. I don't know if it's still true, but it was true then. And, the reason we're called One Community is because we want our neighborhood to be one community,
Hello, hi, my name is Annette Robinson. I live in Farragut Houses. I am a part of One Community. I come and volunteer every single week. I've been doing this volunteer work for over a year here. I love it. I enjoy it. It's my passion. I love to help people. I love to motivate people and encourage people. So when I come to the food pantry, that's what I'm doing. I'm serving the community as well as, empowering and giving inspiration and encouragement to those who are here. I love to interact with people. I love to network with people. And I enjoy dispersing food to the people that's in need in my community. I also have another food pantry that I help with on Tuesdays called the Vinegar Hill Food Pantry. And I also do a lot of empowering and work within my community as well. I help with the TA. I'm involved with my own women group, Encouraging Hearts, where I encourage and motivate women. I do it every single month in the gym in the Farragut Community Center. So what I love about the food pantry is that it allows me to tap into what I come to do, me being a people person and pouring out love and generosity to people that's in need. That's what I'm passionate about. So I am privileged to have the opportunity to be a part to help One Community every single week because it is allowing me to really, tap into what I've been created to do, and that is helping people. So I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you for this time to share, and I look forward to encouraging and uplifting my community the best way I know how.
Rochelle Cole. I live here at Farragut Community. I volunteer here every Saturday at the food pantry. We're located at the Church of the Open Door, but today we're here at the Boys and Girls Club giving out the food that has been donated to the community. I've been volunteering for years. I originally started volunteering at St. Anne St. George Church, and when that closed down, they opened up different pantries around in the community, but I just happened to come upon this one and decided to volunteer. That way I can give back to the community as I did before. With the economy growing as it is and people not having, enough money to purchase food, it helps them to be able to feed their families.
Hello, I'm Hansel Toussaint. I'm from Walt Whitman Houses. One day I was passing in front of Ingersoll, and I saw all these people outside with their carts and their bags, and I was inquisitive, so I asked questions, and they told me it's a pantry. I think that was so cool, so I joined the line, but with my heart, I didn't feel it was right just to come and take the food without volunteering my time. So I inquired about volunteering, and Anthony explained to me, he took my number and my name and told me what to do. So the next week, following week, I came by and started volunteer for One Community.
Hey, I'm Patty, and this is Rachel. We live in Clinton Hill. We've both been with One Community since the very beginning, the first Thanksgiving in the pandemic, volunteering to take groceries door to door here in the Ingersoll and Whitman night to housing.
And we started giving out the groceries, and then it rotated to the food pantry. So we joined the pantry over here, and we've been giving out food. We're both shift captains, and Patty is the organizer as far as she keeps the people organized, and she makes sure that the count is good. I put the food, I organize the food so that it's in a logical order for people, because otherwise you end up getting the cabbage on top of the grapes, and that's really not fun. Other than that, we've been involved here. These are our neighbors. We really care about them, and it's important. Food insecurity is a very important cause for both of us, and we want to make sure that our neighbors are not going hungry.
Yeah, and we see the same folks week in and week out. We want to make sure if we miss somebody some week, we're checking in to make sure everybody's okay and has what they need to get through the week.
So there's a whole tier of farmers who survive by selling into the wholesale markets or selling to large distributors. And they're at the mercy of the market. And we approached them and said, we'll give you a firm contract. We'll purchase food for 1,000 families, and we'll give you a set price if you can work with us to work out the logistics of getting food to us in New York City, and also help us with packaging, because we don't have a lot of capacity to package, so you have to help us get stuff into sizes we can distribute at a pantry. And it turned out that many of these farmers were thrilled with this proposition, because it gave them a little more profit, and it gave them a very predictable level of stability, and some of them just built it into their normal operations, and others even just expanded and planted just for us or produced just for us. So it was pure incremental profit. So we now have about a dozen farmers whose whole economic structure is stabilized because they discovered One Community and we discovered them. One example we discovered was a farm which is, in some senses, has been highly successful, but was redoing its business approach, and it's named McEnroe Farms. One of the things that had great allure for us is they're at the cutting edge of organic farming and environmental sustainability, minimizing their impact. And so both supporting them and enhancing their profit profile and getting their food to our people really was the kind of thing that we would be very proud of doing.
My name is Olivia Skeen, and I am the Development and Communications Manager at McEnroe Organic Farm. So my responsibilities at McEnroe is to create business development relationships, reach out to local restaurants, to wholesale, find opportunities for the farm to work with other businesses, nonprofits, anything like that, and kind of make the connection and make it happen. I'm also involved in the nonprofit aspect of the farm. So I do the grants, I do put together events, I work with fundraisers to get funds for the nonprofit, which is the farm. So McEnroe Farm's mission statement is to demonstrate the sustainability and organic farming to the community. So the benefit of the mission statement of the nonprofit McEnroe Organic Farm is that we educate the community on organic farming practices and sustainable practices. The way that we farm at McEnroe is we do organic seeds, organic vegetables, we do organic soil that we make here, and organic cattle that we raise here sustainably. So the type of entities and geographical range that we kind of reach, we like to stay local, so we say, within 100 miles. We reach out to a lot of communities in New York City that we work with. Sometimes we go even as far as Long Island. We go up to the Berkshires in Massachusetts and Connecticut. Based on where the farm is, we kind of have a good reach of different states because we're so close.
My name is Rafael Gonzalez, and I am the vegetable manager at McEnroe Organic Farms. I'm in charge of all the growing, any vegetable growing that goes on in the farm. I'm in charge of it, and I either do it myself or supervise or show other people how to do it. We have a wide variety. Our main crop is tomatoes, red beefsteak tomatoes, but we do all kind of herbs. We do peppers, we do hot peppers, eggplant, we do cabbage, Brussels sprouts, lettuce, mustard greens, mesclun, a very wide variety of veggies. We sell it, we stay local. We have local customers, wholesalers, and we also sell them directly to customers. It's organic and it's pretty fresh. Everything that we harvest, and that's my main goal. Everything I want to sell or take from the farm directly to the customers if I can, because it's really the flavor. Like, to me, is very important. The freshness really makes a difference. I don't want to bring food from hours away or days away from here. I want to stay grow stuff here, sell it fresh. Really makes a difference. And being organic is a whole new different world. If you taste something from the market, regular market, if you taste something growing in the farm, you can feel the difference. And I'm all about flavor and freshness and being good to the earth and do good practices. All that good stuff I take under consideration. That's why I said that our vegetables are different than others. Just the freshness, the quality is so much higher. I come from Mexico, and I started learning a little bit of agriculture there. I came here and kept learning. Over the years, I had different people to learn from, and what makes me happy is just have these fresh vegetables and very healthy, because we do everything organic. I try to avoid any pesticides or any fertilizers if I can. McEnroe organic soil is really good. I use always potting soil, compost to do amendments. So the flavor comes from there, and I enjoy really a lot what I do. And when I see people they told me that our tomatoes are so tasty, or they're so fresh, that's what makes me happy, and that's why why I think mac and roast and are so different, because the flavor of the vegetables are, it's really amazing.
Hi, my name is Matt Ham. I'm the Soils and Compost Manager at McEnroe Organic Farm. My responsibilities are to keep the compost facility within our DEC standards and just cover the general operations and make sure that compost happens. So DEC standards are, we have to make sure that we stay within the proper amount of food waste that we get in, make sure the temperatures of the windrows stay up to par, and to make sure that the compost facility has no other environmental impact on anything outside of the facility. All right, so what you're looking at right now here is our McEnroe Organic Farm compost pad. If you take a look at the driveway and you draw an imaginary line across it, the pad is actually split in two pieces. One side has a geomembrane underneath of it, which is a plastic cover that essentially prevents all the leachate from going into the ground and contaminating any groundwater. The other side is what we call active storage. That's where all the rows will go once they meet the compost requirements. But where everything starts off is right here on our concrete pad. This is where the food waste and stable bedding and yard waste goes to be mixed into the rows. Those things are mixed at a carbon to nitrogen ratio of 25 to 40 to 1, which basically means you want to do 3 brown items versus 1 green item. Brown items are your fall leaves, your yard waste, stable bedding. The green item is your food waste, any sort of manures, and you mix those about 3 to 1 to get the proper mixture to make the compost happen. And that also makes the microorganisms happy so they can do their job. Once the mixture is mixed here on the pad at that ratio, is laid out over here on this side to start the active composting. The machine you see right there, our windrow turner, actually has a fleece system which will cover the row, and that creates the perfect environment for the composting to happen. It helps maintain the moisture content level, the oxygen level that's needed. What we do here is called thermophilic composting, which basically is like microorganisms that like heat. So basically, as the heat grows up in the pile, the organisms that we don't want to be in there start to die off, while the dominant organisms that we want start to thrive. These rows, because they have food waste, we want them between 132 and 155 degrees Fahrenheit to ensure that any food-borne pathogens are destroyed in the process. That's your Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella. To accomplish that, we have to turn 5 times in 15 days with that machine to make sure that the pile is like thoroughly cooked. So it's kind of like cooking a big steak out there. And essentially what that machine does is it turns the pile inside out. If you take a look at the drum, it's got 2 inverse corkscrews with a throwing rake in the middle. So it drags the outside of the pile inwards and then flips it to make sure that it's completely heated all the way through. That process generally takes between 4 to 6 weeks for it to get up to temperature. Once the temperature requirements are met, it then goes over to active storage, where you see some of those older, finer rows. Once it's in active storage, it can be anywhere between 4 to 12 weeks additional time for it to break down further. And then once it breaks down further, it comes up here and goes to our screening process right here. And this pile you can see right behind you is actually some of the finished product. So that's essentially what the finished product looks like.
Eric McEnroe with McEnroe Organic Farm with the livestock department. We're at the cane farm visiting cows this morning. Yeah, so we take a whole farm approach with organic farming where different systems work together and create synergy. For example, our cattle manure gets turned into compost, which the compost will then be turned into potting soil to feed seedling plants and vegetables to be able to grow. Organic uses no synthetic pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers. So everything really has to work together to benefit each other. Beneficial insects, beneficial plants, help with overall health of the plants. Whereas conventional farming relies on imported fertilizers, synthetic herbicides, Roundup, and harsh chemicals. The benefit is we protect the land as a whole. As you can see, we've fenced in waterways to protect waterways. We focus on crop rotation, cover cropping in our larger fields, and crop rotation with our vegetables to mitigate pest control. And again, our compost is our main source of fertilizer, so we're essentially a big circle where we can rotate the cattle manure into compost to feed our plants, to feed our animals the next year. Certainly not for the faint of heart. It has its challenges, organic farming, but it's a love of the land, love of our occupation, and love of farming. Our turkey operation is seasonal. We typically get chicks in early to mid-July, raise them inside for a few weeks, and then put them outside to graze on grass and eat all organic grains. We process the week before Thanksgiving to ensure freshness and quality, and created quite a following over the last 20 years.
By and large, the people who come are people who really need food. You know, nobody abuses the system. It's really serving a real fundamental need for every single family that comes.
Good day. My name is Lisa Rennie. I'm here thanking One Community. They're doing an excellent job here for people in the community. This is Fort Greene and Clinton Hill here, people. We appreciate. Thank you to our electoral officials that's helping to help the community, you know, because we really in a need for the free food, and I appreciate it. God bless. Amen.
Dr. Beatrice Diggs Rodriguez. I love working here, and I also love picking up a parcel because I have lupus, which is an autoimmune disease, and I need this fresh vegetables to help me with my condition. And I thank you for allowing me to speak to people that might have the same disease.
My name is Mariah Lewis, and I heard about this pantry through my neighbors in my building. And what benefits me the most coming to this pantry is being able to have food to provide for me and my daughter.
My name's Alyssa, a lieutenant in the Explorers. We're at the 8th floor, downtown Brooklyn. I live in Queens, that's Queens Village.
My name is Amaya, and I live in Fort Greene.
I go to school downtown, LIU Brooklyn Rock Nation School.
I go to school at Benjamin Banneker in Brooklyn.
What makes us want to volunteer is to help out the community. And the Explorer program, we just volunteer a lot. We do the pantry here, we help out, we do community service, we hand out flyers, do outreach. We just do a whole bunch of different things. We just come here about every Saturday or every other Saturday to hand out food to the less fortunate.
I feel like they feel good because we're helping out and we're giving back.